I think we're good to go. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm new to this, so let's get started.
Okay, great. So I just want to start with your introduction. So I don't know if everybody are we on IG Live?
I believe we are live.
Okay. So this is Ryan Pompey, the art director of Heavy Sound Labs. He's been from the bio, but I can see you've been working in this creative art industry for about 10 years now.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And from Newark, New Jersey, which is where I'm from. So I'm super excited for today.
That's dope.
Mark is in the building. And so, yeah, we're just going to have a conversation today more about like your process, answer some questions from the audience, and some questions I have too about your process and some advice you might give to college students or recent college grads who like to work in your field.
Absolutely. It sounds good to me. Let's go.
Okay, so we're going to start real smooth and simple. And so my first question is, how did you know that this art or creative space was where you wanted to go?
Well, yeah, that's pretty smooth. I just from my early age, we all like draw, and I just figured that I started drawing a little closer to art. My mom actually is like very artistic, so I think I probably got that from her. So early on, I was just interested in it, just drawing characters and what have you. So that's pretty much how I got started. And I guess it needed to be fed, and it kept going and going.
So, um, another question I have um, is coming as a college student and we are in this pandemic or COVID space, what is some advice that you might give to college students about how to develop their craft or how to even break into the entertainment industry as a creative?
I think we're like in a golden time right now, where some people might see adversity. I definitely see an opportunity. Um, over these last 5 or 6 months, I would advise like college students or somebody new to the field, just to get as much information as you can, and don't be afraid to practice the information, because we're in the information age, but it's so much free game out there now that you can sharpen your tools and also gain new tools along the way. So I would definitely say take advantage of the opportunity, just to continuously learn. So that's the best advice I could give right now. There's a ton of free resources out there, like different Adobe classes and things that students can use. And with those skills, that's what breaks you into these different industries. There's a lot of really dope young creatives that's true to their craft that's in this industry, like Gunner Style, for example, and a lot of others.
Hey, that's great advice. So make sure you guys are sharpening your tools. Another question is, what is it like working for Heavy Sound Labs, or like what's your day to day look like if there's like a routine you have going on?
Yeah. Shout out to Heavy Sound Labs, and I forgot to say at the beginning, thank you. The next step for actually putting this together. This is awesome. Honestly, I don't want to sound too trite or like cheesy, but like working at Heavy Sound Labs is actually a dream. So it's a really cool job, and I love the people that I work with. I've been working with them for a few years on other ventures. So just a combination of technology and music is has been a dream. So like day to day. Malachi and I, so Malachi's our content director, so we work in tandem, um, to produce a lot of different creatives and push the boundaries of design as far as using our brand guidelines and putting information out there. So it's been a really good roller coaster ride, building the brand to something hardy, that people can gravitate towards. So day to day, it's just a lot of emails. Design. We have like different meetings, so smaller design meetings like in the mornings to say, hey, how are we going to attack the day? These are some projects that we have going forward. These are some things that was left off the last couple of days or a few weeks. So just having that structure, and then I have the bigger meetings with the rest of the staff. So it's actually pretty cool. So it's not as stressful, but the day to day is pretty organized because one thing connects to the next thing, and it just spans a couple of days. So it's good.
That's great. So how did you, I know you said just now that you've been like working on different ventures with some of the people from Heavy Sound Labs. What was like the transition like for you coming right into like actually working there?
Well, prior to working at Heavy Sound Lab, so our CEO and co-founder Jason Jeter has many ventures. He's a serial entrepreneur, and I actually worked at RP55 Group, which is like a cool and hustle gang. So I was afforded the opportunity to work within the clothing space and do digital marketing there. Like some not design on the clothing, but as far as like marketing material design and analytics. So that was a pretty good experience. And prior to that, it was within music, and that's when I worked with our other team members. So that was the transition. So after that, just rolling into this venture, I was very excited about it. So it's been like a top secret for months, and I was very excited about it. So when I got the call to join the Avengers, I got on a plane and got right to it.
Oh, so so one of the questions from the live is, have you ever worked with Kid Cudi? Like you're talking about the album cover.
I have not. I have not worked with Kid Cudi, and I would like to. So yeah, Kid Cudi and Tyler the Creator. So these are I got like a dream list that I'm gonna manifest in the future. But that'd be awesome. I have not.
That's super dope. Okay. I'm trying to come up with another question. So the pandemic has definitely changed the way the entertainment industry works as a whole. Do you have any ideas that you are willing to share about how you guys are also going to transition with like the pandemic and how everything is moving? So like we can't have concerts anymore. So like what are some different creative directions that you might push artists or creatives to go towards?
Nah, absolutely. Like we were saying in the beginning, like right now it's an opportunity. It's a very big experimental opportunity for artists and just creatives in general. So like I mentioned before, so right after this talk, it's we have sound check that we spoke about. That's at 8 p.m. So that's a platform that we have with our A&R Byron, and it gives people opportunity to showcase their talents and get their music out there. So with that, it gives an opportunity for artists to lend ears and get their digital imprint going. So that's one of the main things that we've been doing during the pandemic, just to keeping the digital footprint going. Because even though things has physically stopped outside, the internet doesn't stop, so content doesn't stop. And right now, we need it more than ever. So I would tell an artist like, artists tend to and I said it before, I said it in a conversation before, that artists tend to hold music or hold content or hold creative, because they want to be the sharpest blade possible. You know what I mean? So like I always say, like, yo, you're gonna over sharpen your knife. You sharpen and sharpen, you're not gonna have a weapon anymore. So like it's a great time to experiment with content. Like you don't have to hold it anymore. So the more content you put out there, the more response you can get, and that'll help you in the long run to really take inventory of what you have to say, you know what, I'm gonna do some more of that, or I'm gonna do less of this. So during this pandemic, I would just urge all creatives to just keep creating.
Get creative. That's good advice. I'm creative myself, and I think that's a really good piece of advice because I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and she was saying like how with videos we definitely hold on to things because we want everything to be perfect when we put it out because that's our brand. But like you said, if you don't put anything out, nobody knows where to reach you. Nobody can see your growth. And that's like the beautiful part of how you gain supporters is them seeing like your growth and where you're going. So great advice there.
Absolutely.
Okay. So another question from the audience, they want to know how they can get in contact with you. So we were talking about Soundcheck, which is on Heavy Sound Labs. You can check them out there. And you can also check them out on YouTube. They have a whole YouTube channel where they post Soundcheck. So how else can they get in contact with you?
Well, this is all like new to me, like actually sharing this type of information. But my Instagram is at Pompey Arts. So it's POMPEIIARTS. You can shoot me a DM or you can shoot me an email. And if you're looking for other resources, it's not an ad, but Heavy Sound Labs is not just a music label, it's not just a tech label. It offers like a plethora of resources. So for example, if you're a content creator, but you're not an artist, you can actually sign on to like go to heavysound.com and join as a crew member. And you won't just have access to myself. You will have access to like the whole team that you'll be seeing this week. And that's like office hours every Wednesday. So you can schedule that time and ask whatever questions. But outside of that, you can hit me on my Instagram. Like I answer. Like I don't have a million followers, but I'm saying I can offer whatever advice I can.
Okay, so you've done a lot of freelance work. I've seen on your LinkedIn.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what was one of your favorite projects that you have worked on in the past, or one that you might be keeping secret? Just like one of your favorite things that you've done.
Wow. It's been so many like really, really cool projects. I would say one really dope freelance gig was like right before I started working at the last music label. I was actually recruited to help do some designs for the Atlanta Hawks by way of Jason Jeter and Todd Green. So that was pretty fire. So it was like, yo, you do decks? I'm like, yeah, I could do it. Or like, oh, I got some designs. So it had like other designers that submitted some like crazy stuff. And I was like kind of timid about it, but that turned out really well. And like that was like a high point like in my freelance career because I was able to help design some banners that ended up in the Phillips Arena at the time. And one of the products actually made it on what's Atlanta, the show Atlanta on FX. So that was a really big full circle moment for me. So as a freelancer, so that was pretty dope.
That's super dope. Are you in Atlanta right now?
Yes, I'm currently in Atlanta. Right now.
It's a great space for creatives.
Absolutely, it is. It really is.
Okay. So, what would you say is sort of your creative process? Like, so we were talking about how at during the end you share everything, but like, what are some of the things like your brainstorm process, or like, how do you go about making a piece of art come to life?
Absolutely. It's gonna sound. It's very simple actually. So when you look at design, people look at it as a grandiose, a complex idea, but people think like the point of design is, yo, could you make this look dope or could you make it whatever? But the whole point of the design is functionality. So as designers, we look at things as challenges. So if you pose a challenge, we have to provide, or a problem, we have to provide a solution through design. And that's colors and that's shapes. So the very basic start to that is writing everything down. So I know a lot of people like are like self-taught designers, like go to like, oh, I'm gonna go to Photoshop, I'm gonna go to Illustrator, I'm gonna just start designing on these technical things. But I will always say, start with a pen and paper, start with a pencil and paper. That's the rudimentary part of design. So always write your ideas down. Sometimes you can get a little deeper to say, you know, I feel these colors, or I want the design to come off this way, and then you start designing. And that way, it makes it very easy for you to grab individual elements to put together a whole project. So I would definitely say start simple. Write your notes and some rough sketches out first, and then pull some inspiration, and then get designing.
What are some of your inspirations? Like, where do you pull inspiration from? Is it
Uh,
just in general, or like artists?
uh, I pull inspiration for everywhere, like for real. I'm saying like God is a big inspiration, period. Because that's like the ultimate creator for real. But as far as design wise, I had to like break the ceiling for myself and start designing. So one of my huge inspirations are like two designers from back in the day. So Milton Glaser is one of them. Rest in peace, Milton Glaser. He passed this year. And Paul Rand. So those are, if y'all watching right now, those are two people. If you're a designer, that's a really good basic start. Some of you guys may know them, some of y'all may not. But I pull a lot of inspiration from Paul Rand and Milton Glaser. because of the simplicity. They used design and they took a problem and created like really dope, simple solutions. So an example, some work that Paul Rand did, like the Westinghouse logo, the IBM logo that he did, and I researched that, look at the process that he did to create those, and also Milton Glaser, most famously known for the I Love New York T-shirts. So yeah, that typewriter font, that hard, Aretha Franklin posters, like he was a problem, but they approached design in a simple way, and they solved so many problems. So that's definitely where I pull inspiration from.
Someone said, Dreadly said, is there a third person you pull inspiration from?
Third person, damn, that's a simple but a tough question. As far as designers, not really, but I would say that it's really good to look at design from a global standpoint. So that's really like my last kind of my anchor inspiration. If you look at design globally, a really good example is your street signs, your airports. No matter what airport you're going to, you're going to see some Helvetica, and that's like a basic font, but it just resonates so much with the soul. Like if you go to Target, and if you're one of those people that go to Target and you're like, damn, man, I just went in there for one thing, and you end up spending a bunch of money, like that's not by chance, that's by design and like global design. And that font is so inviting, and it makes you feel like, yeah, what's $14.99? What's $149.99? So I definitely draw inspiration from like the same design you're going to see in Japan. There's a lot of great designers in Europe. And Europe sets a lot of trends, like for the upcoming design trends that designers usually take part in the U.S. So a lot of that stuff is generated like Japan, a lot of like German graphic designers, South African designers. That's really where I pull the inspiration from, because they kind of get the information before we get it.
So I do need to go overseas. I feel like nature is one of like the biggest inspirations from people, and so traveling is definitely something that people should do, especially if they're creatives. I think that's dope.
100%, 100%. And like even now with the world on lockdown, you can surf the net. There's so many dope resources out there for real.
My question. Okay, so I know a lot of our audience might be college students, at least from the Next Step conference and things like that. So one of my questions for them directed towards you would be, how would you advise a college student or post-grad student make an income off of their talents?
Wow. First, I'm gonna go post grad second. Um, there, like you said, like if there are artists that need work, especially in this bubble that we're in right now, there are brands that need work. There's an increasing amount of entrepreneurs out here, all different ages. So the very first step, if you're not a designer, that's something that you're interested in, I would take a look at something like Adobe Max. And Adobe Max is like a design conference. So even if you don't join it, just to get more knowledgeable about these things, on how to generate gigs the proper way and how to be paid and compensated the proper way. There's also the AIGA. That's one of the largest design guilds in America, as well as the Graphics Arts Guild. And that gives you a lot of cool resources like, all right, cool, what's my first step when dealing with a client? And that allows you to be like an effective freelancer. So even when you're doing favors for people, you would know how to gauge that project. And secondly, just put yourself out there. So my issue sometimes, like, oh, I got to start saying no, but you might miss out on the opportunity. So I would tell a lot of college students out there, yo, try your hand at it. Don't be so timid, and don't wait on it. If you know somebody needs a logo, really do your due diligence and your research and jump into that. And the dope thing about that is you're only gonna get better. So you're not gonna off the rip be a professional designer. So keep on trying it. All your friends that need logos, your mans do music. Really get yourself practicing, and you can only get better with this kind of thing. So that's what's awesome. And post grad, I would say once you're in the job field, now it's like, okay, cool. Now I want to get some elevated contracts. Now I just don't want to do these small things. I want to go to an agency and get a contract. I would say work on your soft skills, which if you're postgrad, I'm sure you learned in college. You work on your soft skills. And also, if you say that you want to be something, really dig deep down inside and pull those resources out. For example, if you want to be a senior designer, you need to link with another senior designer. You need to learn what they're doing and humble yourself. One, that's the biggest thing. Humble yourself because design doesn't stop. So it's not one of those things. Design isn't one of those things. It's like, yo, I'm Pompey, man. Like I know this much. I don't need to learn anything from this person or that person. It's a constantly changing and evolving field. So when you're post grad, just stay up to par with the new technology. Stay par with new programs, and these small things builds like great value into you when you're looking for like jobs. And also, I would tell everybody if you're a post grad, get Adobe certified, 100%. So I had to go that route. My route was a little longer than most because those of y'all from Jersey, like I went to Kane University. Kane University is just really a teacher's college, and it didn't really have that much support for designers when I was in college. So like just to get that good, because I really want to jump out there, I got Adobe certified, and that on your resume, like that really pushes that button that you know what you're doing, and that can get you larger contracts as a postgrad.
In conjunction with that, someone asked, how do you avoid being underpaid for your work?
You don't avoid that. You don't avoid that at all. So like, I know that's the biggest thing with like freelancing and designing is pricing. And it's a lot of people that saturate the market because you know they're rookies. So it might be like, yo, man, I do some cartoon art for $20. I'm gonna do this album cover for $50 or whatever the case is. And that across the board kind of brings down the value in designers. But if you're knowledgeable, that's your worth. Because even if you're really good and you give somebody a discount, they know your worth. They just want to get the job done. So in the beginning, to avoid being underpaid, you have to arm yourself with knowledge and a proper pricing. So I will do it in 3 phases. If you're a novice and you're like, yo, damn, I don't want to get shortchanged. If you're a novice, you have to get better. So you got to take them exhibition games to get better. It's annoying, but once you build up that confidence, you're knowledgeable in that particular space. If you know you do logos, you may start off on Photoshop, which is like a cardinal sin. Like, oh, don't do logos on Photoshop. But you may start off on Photoshop, but then you're gonna get confident. You're gonna be like, okay, I'm doing vector illustrations on Adobe Illustrator. And with your confidence and your knowledge, that's gonna help you avoid those pitfalls of being underpaid. And it's just knowledge, man. So like when you start building your skills, you can give those discounts at will, and you won't feel like, dang, I just played myself. So that's it. So definitely arm yourself with knowledge in that field, whether you're doing layouts or different type of digital design. Really immerse yourself in that portion and educate yourself, and then people will see that value and they will see that path of your work. So they know, okay, I can't shortchange this person. But if I do agree on something less than what it is, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm doing you a favor and you know it. And that also just keeps your confidence intact to keep creating, if that helps.
Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah, for sure.
Advice. Okay, some more questions.
Oh.
So we were talking about staying ahead of the trends and knowing the new technology coming out. What are some spaces that students can go or look towards, like a LinkedIn pages or things like that, that people can search so that they can stay on top of things like that?
100%. I'm a huge Adobe guy, so I would definitely follow Adobe. Follow Adobe on LinkedIn. They actually have some real dope conferences, and they go live a lot. So Adobe goes live on LinkedIn, and it's like, yo, whether it's an update or like a new product, they're very competitive, and they go live and they teach about these things. If you're a student, I would encourage everybody to go to like adobe.com. And even if you don't need the whole suite of programs, you can get individual programs. And now they offer like a significant, before they had student discounts, but now I believe, I don't know the percentage, but students get a bigger student discount now. So, and another thing on that, once you could download these programs just for a trial. And, you know, with the the uprising of YouTube and all that, Adobe was actually forced to put tutorials inside the programs. So even if you're a designer, it's like, yo, I don't know anything, yo, but I need some bread. Like I need to jump in the field. Definitely download the program, and they have like tutorials along the way to get you started with the basics.
Okay. So we can talk a little bit more about your personal path, and like how you said you came from King University, and like basically what happened after you graduated King. Like, what is something that you might want to advise people against, or anything like that?
I would advise people like, that's why I said like, yo, you gotta humble yourself. Like, if I could talk to my younger self, it was like ego. I actually left, like a fun fact. Now I forgot we sharing it with public people, but a fun fact, I actually left my junior year. Like I could have finished school, but I left. So like freshman, sophomore year, beginning of the junior year, like I was accumulating so much money, um, just like freelancing and all that stuff. And then if you're in school, another thing, because this is where I messed up and I want to pass the gem along to somebody else. So what my friends and I discovered, student org has money. You know what I'm saying? They have to spend the money. Greek organizations, all the different organizations, they have a budget. So I was able to like kind of finagle that to be like, okay, cool. Well, yeah, y'all need crossing jackets. Well, I'll custom paint the crossing jackets. Oh, y'all the celebrity coming for spring, whatever the case is. I'll do these things. And I was kind of like chewing up that budget from like a whole bunch of different organizations, to be honest. And then I was kind of like, yo, this is what I want to do. This school doesn't really have the resources for me that I need. And I actually started freelancing like really, really early, like maybe like 19, 20. I really got in the field and put myself out there. So that was my personal path. But with that, you get a lot of pitfalls, because you may not have, now it's going to be more mentors and more resources for you. But then I was kind of like feeling through a dark room on my own. So that comes with some pitfalls that I am grateful for, but it builds character. But just for you guys right now to kind of avoid bumping your head, like really take inventory of what you have right now. It's such an important time because the resources are unlimited. The only thing, the only challenge right now is focusing, because our attention is all over the place. So if you can hone in and really focus, you're gonna avoid a lot of those pitfalls. Because I know like cats that started designing, like younger dudes, that's just phenomenal. So I would just advise to stay focused and stay humble, because that was my path. And I started like freelancing earlier, and like I said, things just started snowballing. So the more I took my craft seriously, I went from like drawing to painting like mixed media things, and then painting on clothes like everybody was doing, customized sneakers. And it gave me the confidence to take those designs, bring them digital. And then once you start doing digital, you get addicted. Like, yo, I like billboards. I like these ads. I like what this font makes me feel like. And then you really get entrenched in that. So yeah, that was part of my journey. Yeah, that was a really good question. I had to jog my brain like, yo, what happened?
Okay, yeah. So when it comes to like budgets, like for me, I just graduated. So
Congratulations.
thank you was definitely with the budget, ensuring that whatever I wanted to see on campus, like you go to the people who are in charge and make that happen, because it's not as much as limited resources, it's more as like a limited mindset. But once you speak that out into the air, it definitely just starts, like you said, snowballing, things fall into place for you. So
Nah, absolutely.
okay, that's that question. Okay. What are some? I know we were talking about your list, but what are some of your long-term goals that you have for your career, or like where you see yourself going in the next few years, or long term?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have two major long-term goals. So maybe like 4 years, no, about 5 or 6 years back, one of my goals was to be like, yo, I want to become an art director. Like, yo, what do I have to do? Like, what knowledge do I have to do? I know it's more than just being good at design or doing things really quickly. Like, what executive skills can I can I really take with me to move on to where I'm in now and to attach to the long term dream. So one of my first long term goal is to I want to control like a higher level of department with art and design, hopefully like VP or something like that. So I'm not a corporate guy, but when it comes to art, I really love what I do. So I would love to just climb the ranks of what I do and help as much people as possible along the way. So that's one major goal. And then like long term, I do want to start my own agency for creatives of color because I feel as though we're like underserviced. Like we have a lot of the talent. We have all the. I mean, it sounds crazy. We have all the talent for real. I'm gonna just go out on. We have all the talent, but it's underserviced, and we don't have the proper direction. And a lot of times companies don't really reflect who we are. And I think that has a lot to do with what we talked about earlier, as far as building your confidence and really knowing, because I didn't know I was really good until like I was around people that was actually good. So, as creatives of color, you feel like it's like in a fantasy world, like, damn, I wanna do that one day. Like, how do I break into that? And along that path, and you're grinding your skills, and you know that we have to work like 10 times harder as like young creators of color. But when you do get that breakout, you realize like, yo, I was actually on par. So that's my second long term, to really start a agency for all people, but focused on creatives of color, and just share what I've learned along the way for real, and get into like billboards and digital and everything else.
So we were talking about your past, and you were just talking about how sometimes we as people of color or Black people don't really have mentors or people to look up to. Did you have anybody that you like, any like physical mentor, like more than just inspiration, but someone who you went to talk to about corporate business or talk about freelance with? And how would you advise younger adults to find those types of mentors or people that they can go to and look towards so they can continue to build their skills?
Nah, absolutely. Earlier on, like I graduated high school in 2005, so like I really didn't have any design mentors. Like shout out to Miss Jackson. I had an art teacher. I thought she hated my guts. Like 4 years, I'm like, yeah, I used to cut up in her class, do crazy stuff. I thought she hated me, but she was actually the first person. Like put me to the side one day, and she said, "Listen, I want you to design like your yearbook." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she actually taught me Photoshop. Like I was like skipping lunch and I got addicted to it. So she was one of the catalysts for that. But then after her, like I didn't really have any mentors in the design space. I just had people that I admired and people that I looked up to. So I think that's another thing that people should do early on, to search for those mentors. I think I was kind of trying to feel out the design world, and kind of was like, yo, I don't really know that many people that do what I do that look like me. It was more so like my peers. So I didn't really have any mentors in that space until later on in my career. But as far as like business mentors, I had some really cool business mentors along the way. It just helped me look at things in a different way. So I always knew I didn't want to just be a creative, right? Like you never want to be that guy. When you start designing, you get stuck in a space. You might be the guy that's only doing party flyers. You might be the guy that's only doing CD covers, or like whatever the case is, and it kind of limits you. But I knew like, yeah, I want to do a creative thing, but I want to be the executive. I want to be the guy in the back that's like, okay, when we hire this person, like, now you're not about to play it. Like, I know the ins and out about it. So I didn't have mentors until later on. Through my cousin Peter, like Todd Green was actually like a business mentor. So kind of like, yo, you need to be a little bit smart about this. So yo, you can do it this way. And kind of by accident, Jason Jeter became like my mentor. So I'm kind of like sitting back and kind of watching his moves. I'm like, oh, yo, you could do this and you don't have to be loud. So I learned a lot of executive maneuvers that I'm still learning. And just the people I work with. That's why I said I work with an amazing set of people. Like Samiko Hope, like this is her shirt. Like life is not a test. Like this is one part of her product. Kirsten Daniel is also like a really dope peer mentor. And I just learned a lot from my team and my friends. But later on in my career, like I said, joined the guild, the Graphic Artists Guild, a lot of cool resources. That's why I met a lot of mentors within my field, as well as the IAGA.
Any questions from the audience?
Okay.
Well, if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys are typing it down into the chat so I can ask them for you guys.
Right.
So, okay, so what are some things, so you're creative, as an art director, what would you say, like, your main, um, like, what's your main thing? What do you do every day? Because I know you work in conjunction with content creators. You guys do, like, photo shoots, video shoots, logos, backdrops. Like, is it everything, or do you specify in one thing? I know you say you don't want to be put in a box, but
Yeah, no, it actually is everything, but you have to, but the main thing really is cohesion, right? So what we focus on, like when we do have ideas and brainstorm meetings to create different content, on like how do we design this, so how are we going to make this conference look at that, is really identity. So the main part that you're working on is identity. um, when you're working with brands, you have a brand guideline, and that brand guidelines, you have like certain fonts, certain colors, and messaging. So one of the main focuses, honestly, is messaging. So you want, what you want to do, you want to train your followers or your different consumers, the people that's interested. You want to train interest to say, okay, cool. So that way they know when you do something off color, if you do something off brand, it's just like a personality. So the main focus every day is to just making sure that we're building out the right persona for this brand, and kind of spread that DNA into everything that we do. So it's also challenging because it's like a young child. It's new, right? So you want to put the identity out there, but you don't want to force it upon people. So that's one of the main things that we do day to day. Like we have to be very brand conscious when you're creating. But then after that, like after we focus on that, then we start building out a complex idea and kind of simplify it. Then it's fun after that. Once you have all your structure down, it's fun after that. So that's pretty much the day to day. You take as a designer or anywhere in the spectrum of design, the whole object is to take a complex idea and simplify it so it's digestible. So that's that's the funnel day to day for real.
so going off of that question, what would you say are some of the features or some key pieces in any piece of artwork that sort of jump out to you when you look at it? So if you're like looking at a music video, what are some things that might like attract your attention?
Um, Two things. I like colors, and well, I'm a typography first off. So I'm with typography and color second, because the first thing you learn, that's really the first two things you learn before you start writing words. You learn shapes and you learn colors. So that's very basic. So that even when you're starting a design, you start with the shapes and then you go to the colors. So really composition. So that's the first thing that really sticks out to me, whether it's logos or design or whatever it is, design wise, is really just the shapes and how things make me feel. And then I could go to, typography. As for example, if right now on the screen, like a spiky circle comes up, you know what I'm saying? You automatically can react to that. Or if you see a smooth circle, or if you see a heart, just how shapes move and how it contours with the mind, like that, that's really the basic start. So when I look at something, I'm attracted to, okay, how do these shapes make me feel? And just to tie that into typography is a huge part of that, because even though you may see letters, but how those letters are formed are technically like shapes. And it really helps you emote, and then it draws you closer to a brand or distances you for a brand, but it really plays on your emotion. And then when you put a layer of color on top of that, that's what it is. So for me, um, I'm not like the super design genius. I just really love design. So like for me to say if something's good or bad, somebody might say, "Oh, that's ugly," whatever the case is. But I'm more so like, "Yo, how is this piece of design emoting to me? Like, how does the shapes make me feel? Are you using typography correctly?" And those are the things that I'm attracted to, and I really like to see in design.
getting low on time. So I have one more question before I just go right into the comment section. That question is, so I know you did a lot of freelance work, and now you're here working as with a team. Which one would you say? Well, what are some of the benefits of both working individually and working as a team, and which do you prefer?
At this point, I don't think honestly, I don't think I have what if you ask me right now, I don't really have a preference right now. Because I'm very comfortable with both. So like we get a lot of like music questions at Heavy Sound Lab. So that's kind of it takes me back to feeling like, all right, yo, would you rather be independent or would you be signed? Jason says a lot like, yo, like his comparison, yo, when you sign, you got resources. You can still do your independent thing. It's the same way. But for me personally, I had like a 3-step goal. Like I need to learn what I need to learn. I need to freelance, but then I need to freelance on a higher level. Then, get myself situated in the last 4 or 5 years, like really work with these bigger brands and build it out. But then that gives you um, all the tools you need to go ahead and start your own thing. So it's like a cycle. So right now, it's based on your preference and your skill level and where you're at. So if you aspire to be somewhere and get this title and do that, I would suggest freelancing. You know what I'm saying? I would start, do the tier, start at a lower level, but you just might be naturally gifted. And then you go right to an agency. And so that's the best advice because that agency will give you a taste of the day to day. So opposed to just being a good designer, like, yeah, you could be a freelance designer. Everybody's good when they're just in the house by themselves. You know what I mean? But I think that elevated freelance experience really shows you what a boardroom is like, how meetings go, how you're supposed to present your design, and that design process. And those heavier tools that get you ready for the big league. So now, when you're hired for a full-time position, it's a smooth transition, and you're just not in there like kind of maverick, like yo, I'm just good, man. I did some posters back in the day, like I know what I'm doing. Like that's a totally different ball game.
So, a question from the audience is: do you have a master class?
I don't actually. Shout out Kirsten Daniel will actually be speaking this week, so y'all should check her out. We're actually talking like some years ago about like a gym class and kind of like branding it like a gymnasium type of thing. So that's something I'm looking to do like in the near future. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of cool things coming up with Heavy Sound Labs, and once we expand that, I think I could lend myself to more speaking engagements and like doing series and stuff like that. Thanks for the inspiration, whoever asked that. That's dope.
Stay on the lookout for the master class. Another question. We kind of touched on this. It says, we did touch on this. But the second piece of the question, the first part is, how did you go about getting a mentor? We talked about that, how you didn't feel like you had a mentor. And the second part of that question is, do you think that having a mentor helps? And
1,000%. 1,000%, because you never know what you need until you need it. So also having a mentor is just not like, yo, I need to get somebody that's dope, that's doing what I want to do, so I could bug them and have resources and this and that. That's not really the point of a mentor. So like, I want to say shout out to the next step. What you guys are doing as young creatives of color is like amazing, because we weren't like, I'm not even that old, I'm in my 30s, but we weren't doing that like fresh out of college. Like this is an amazing thing you guys are doing, and so the trajectory is awesome. But to get back on track, just this generation needs to redefine what a mentor is, because I think it's one of those fantasy things. Somebody's like, yeah, man, I need me a mentor. I should get a mentor. But you're kind of like making up an imaginary thing of what it's supposed to be. So I think sometimes the mentor that you may need may not even be within your field. You may think you may need a design mentor. Really, you may need a business mentor to help you look at things a whole different way. Because in this particular time, you have to be more than just be creative. You just can't be really nice. Like we said earlier, it's important for you to work on your soft skills, educate yourself on different software so you could be a part of that education. But when that opportunity opens up, you train to go. So that just look for different type of mentors. But yeah, I hope that answered the question.
So I don't see any more questions. So to end it off, I think my last question would have to be, what are some artists that you are looking at right now? Maybe some mainstreams that you like what they're doing. They can be from Jersey, not from Jersey. Any artists really that kind of catch your eye right now? New artists out.
There's a couple fire new artists. I'm about to be totally biased right now. Because there's you got your regular big name artists, but I'm gonna start with Jersey. Just a couple dope artists from Jersey, like Cookie Kawaii. They got the TikTok sensational song. Like I really like what she's doing and how she grinded it out. All started great. He's a heavy sound lab artist. He's from Newark, New Jersey as well. Who else am I listening to? Oh, up and coming like Lango. So shout out to Lango. He's also associated with Heavy Sound Lab, so shout out to him, 47 Gino. So we actually get a lot of cool talent. So I find myself listening to them a lot more. Also, like Baby Rose, Baby Keem. Like I like the new energy and like neo soul energy and the new hip hop energy. So that's what I'm listening to right now.
So you dropped the gems. Okay. So once again, thank you, Ryan, for talking with me today. Will you be at sound check today?
Thank you. Actually, shout out at God Bless Byron. You should follow him. He's actually one of our newest A&Rs. So he has his ear to the streets. So at 8 p.m. on our page, Heavy Sound Labs, Byron will be there doing the sound checks. I'm gonna tap in on the comments, but shout out to Byron. He's gonna be hosting sound check, and it's gonna be really dope.
Someone said could they send some of their old stuff?
Why not?
Definitely send your stuff in. Get your name out, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, for sure.
And where can the people find you? I don't know if you want to drop an email or anything.
Yeah, email is kind of dangerous because I don't know, but you can actually you can shoot me a DM. My social media is at Pompey Arts, POMPEIIARTS. Or I'm just gonna throw it out there. There's not a million people on here, you know what I'm saying, but also shoot me an email. And that's just Ryan RYAN at HeavySoundLabs.com.
Is there anything else you want to shout out? Anything else you
want to say? Nah, not really, man. I just want to shout you guys out again. Shout out to the Next Step. This is an amazing platform, and I love what you guys are doing, especially in the time right now. So a lot of what you guys are doing are answering all the questions, like, what you supposed to be doing in quarantine? How do you go about it? What's ways you can go about these different things? You guys are like really circumventing a lot of the challenges of right now. So definitely shout out to y'all. Shout out to our whole Heavy Sound Lab staff and the crew members. That's it.
Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you to Heavy Sound Lab.
Make
sure you guys are tuned in tomorrow for tomorrow's talk at 7 p.m. right here on the Next Step Con again. And I was your host today, Desiree. You can follow me at Told by Desi, Told by Desi with 2 eyes.
That's dope. All right, y'all. Peace.